Veterans who were stripped of their medals because of their sexual orientation are to have them restored. LGBT+ people weren't allowed to serve in the armed forces until the year 2000, with several hundred being thrown out each year. The Ministry of Defence now says personnel sacked for their sexuality will be able to reclaim awards that were confiscated when they left. It's a result of a legal campaign by veteran Joe Ousalice, who forced the MoD to review its policies. And we're able to speak to him now. Joe, hello to you. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. What does this announcement mean to you?
Well, it's certainly very interesting, but the first I heard about it was last night from my solicitor, Emma Norton. I spoke to the Defence Secretary a year ago, who confirmed that they would actually give all these veterans the medals back, and they were at the end of the process. Now, that was over a year ago. He said he would contact me every 4 months with an update. I've heard nothing since. And as I said, last night was the first I heard about it. So yes, it's a good result if indeed it does happen. But I've heard this so many times over the last 28 years.
Yes, so you're not convinced at this stage. Joe, just tell us a little bit about your story. You were court-martialed, you were dismissed from the Royal Navy in 1993, is that right? What impact did it have on your life?
Well, it totally devastated me. My whole life revolved around the Navy. I had all my friends in the Navy. I was in a very good, secure job. I had DG superior write-ups in every one of my write-ups by the armed forces. And yet overnight they can make a sad story up as such and just kick me out. The day before I was chucked out of the Navy, I had to go and see the commanding officer of HMS Falklands, who reliably assured me that disgusting people such as me had no place in a civilised world, and in particular in the armed forces.
The knock-on effect then on your life, Joe, was devastating, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I lost my home, I lost my car, I lost my girlfriend. I was outed to my family. And in the end, I was living off pinched cabbages and potatoes from farmers' fields because I had no money coming in. It affected me so much that I was living in a bubble. And in the end, I thought life's not worth living, and I decided to jump off the Tamar Bridge. It's only just before I got to the bridge that a friend of mine phoned me up and talked me out of it. And this is the effect of their actions.
And until that point, the Royal Navy had been your life.
Oh yeah, everything revolved around the Navy. I'd been around the world several times. I'd been to the South Atlantic for the Falklands, 6 tours of duty in Northern Ireland, twice in the Middle East, and a 2-year posting to Hong Kong.
What would you like to see happen now to make up, to repair some of the harm that has been done?
Well, I urged the MoD to set up an ex gratia compensation fund to which LGBT veterans may apply for some form of financial recompense. And I hope that the restoration of medals is just the first in a series of steps. Only then will the MoD be able to say that it truly addresses this historic injustice for which it is responsible. I'd also like, if possible, for the Queen to have a pardon for all these people who lost their jobs.
Yeah, and as you've described, so much more than the jobs. In terms of the process, you have to reapply. This doesn't happen automatically, does it? You've got to reapply and go through a review process. Is that right?
What's that for, sorry?
In terms of getting the medals returned and restored to members of the armed forces, you've got to reapply for them. It isn't automatic.
Oh, no, it isn't automatic. I don't know what it is, today, because as I said, I'd left over 28 years ago. But you have to do 12 years of unblemished work with the armed forces to get an LS, long service and good conduct medal. You get that with 3 epaulets. And if you get one bit of trouble in your naval career, you lose that medal.
What do you think this says about the Ministry of Defence's approach to LGBT military personnel now and a potentially different future?
I'm not altogether sure, to be honest, because they say one thing to your face and yet do something completely different. For example, I spoke to several admirals a year ago when they returned my medal. I was assured that they would return the medals to all these other veterans immediately. And yet here I am a year down the line, and still none of these veterans have got the medals back. Surely I'm not the only one. The charities supporting me, the Centre for Military Justice, I'm Fighting with Pride, have received lots of inquiries from people like me. All of these veterans have described the lifelong impact that the ban has had, the public humiliation, the living in fear, the verbal and sometimes physical abuse, being outed to friends, family and colleagues and strangers, and that the financial impact on losing their career and pension. Some of them are now getting on in years, some are getting ill and some are dying. Almost all of us are poorer than what we should have been. So, they need to sort themselves out.